Make sure you like, subscribe, and send suggestions for what game I should cover next. Burp. Kingdom Hearts is a 2002 video game developed by Square Enix in collaboration with Disney. This game is infamous for its characters, its massive story, and its even bigger fan base. And I have never played it. I was still a few months away from even being born when the game's sequel released, and we were more of a GameCube and Wii family growing up. So even though I like Disney like any other kid, and obviously like video games, Kingdom Hearts was never something that really touched me. What? Kingdom Hearts was never something that actually got to me in my childhood, but now that I'm older and more into the gaming landscape as a whole, and have recently gotten obsessed with the Final Fantasy series, I chose to play this game. Here's a first-timer's thoughts on Kingdom Hearts. What the fuck? This game's plot and characters are so basic, and I love it. The basic synopsis of this game is that Sora is the chosen one of the Keyblade, because he has the strongest heart, and because of this he must go to different worlds to lock keyholes to seal off an evil entity known as the Heartless, along with Goofy and Donald, who are two soldiers trying to search for their king, Mickey Mouse. What the fuck was that sentence? If you asked me to say that sentence like a week ago, I would have had a stroke. While trying to seal off the keyholes, Sora is also searching for his friends Riku and Kairi, who went missing when their world was consumed by the Heartless. It's a really simple plot, but a really cool and effective one. I think it gives a really awesome incentive to both Sora and the player to go to all these different worlds, not just to search for his friends, but also to seal the keyholes and save these worlds from monsters. It always feels so satisfying to finally seal the keyhole at the end of a level and be like, yeah, I just saved that world. Also, apparently they can't meddle with the timelines of the worlds. So like, you know, Back to the Future, like, don't mess with the past, like that sort of thing. But they constantly do it. They bring Genie from Aladdin just on their adventure. They also bring Tinkerbell from Peter Pan and Mushu from Mulan, who's not even in this game. They're kind of just like, fuck the whole meddling thing. We'll do it sometimes if we want to. It's weird how it works. Especially since 90% of this plot is just Sora and the gang changing the plot of existing movies. At a certain point in the story, Riku is revealed to be working with Maleficent, who is the leader of a big group of bad guys who are trying to open the door to Kingdom Hearts, which will grant your greatest wishes or something. It's never really explained directly. The only time Kingdom Hearts is really explained in this game is when Maleficent is trying to manipulate Riku, so it never really comes across if what she's saying is true or not. While Riku's working for the League of Villains or Suicide Squad or whatever, he tries to search for Kairi by helping the Teen Titans open the door to Octopath Traveler. A lot of these scenes come off extremely forced and cheesy, almost like you're just supposed to sit there and be like, yep, I guess he's evil now. Even though there's never really a convincing reason for him to join them, other than him being jealous that Sora is with Donald and Goofy. It's really stupid, honestly. As Riku works with them, he gets controlled by a man named Ansem, but at least in the context of this game, just shows up out of fucking nowhere. In his quest for Kairi, Riku falls deeper into darkness, which is what Ansem comes from, but other than that we have no idea what he is. Eventually, after taking over Riku's body, Ansem fights Sora. Once Sora beats the hot, tall, dark, and handsome wizard, Riku and King Mickey, who is revealed to be inside of Kingdom Hearts the whole time, stay behind the door, much to Sora's acceptance, surprisingly. Okay. Man, he does not care even one bit, does he? All in all, the story's a pretty big piece of shit, which is expected because it's a video game created by the guy that wrote Final Fantasy VII. It's cheesy and you kind of know it's poorly written, but once you let go of that and sink into the story along with the game's general atmosphere, it becomes a lot of fun, and there's some really exciting moments. I mean, shit, even though I know it was dumb, the moment where Riku goes with Mickey Mouse through the door to Kingdom Hearts almost had me crying. And it's not just emotional at times either. The character designs and fights are genuinely set up so well at times, it's just absolutely epic. That's right, I said the word epic. What are you gonna do? Tickle me? But this plot would not be interesting all by itself. No, it would not. What does it need behind it? An interesting world and... Sora is an absolute nothing sandwich of a character. He's a cheerful kid with dreams of being free and saving his friend Kairi, but at the same time, whenever he's faced with this situation, like when Riku shows up in Traverse Town or the Whale, he kind of just sits there and accepts what's happening. He's shown off to be this heroic, kind-souled person, and we're kind of just supposed to accept that. But in reality, he comes off kind of as an annoying brat who acts like things are really important to him when they're not. Riku just showed up out of nowhere after you thought he was probably dead.
Oh, he's gone!
Riku? Nice going.
He's not a stray cat, Sora. This guy's your best friend you're searching for. You are literally risking your life for this guy. Please act like you at least care a little bit. And it's the same thing with saving Kairi, because it feels like every time Riku reminds him he's gonna do it himself, Sora kind of just says, Kairi, and nothing else, when everything feels like it should be solved with a 10-second long conversation where they tell each other what's going on with them. It's only by the end of the game, along with Riku, where it feels like I can truly understand where the love for Sora comes from. He truly starts to feel more like that fun-loving hero kid who wants to save the world. Even at his lowest, without his weapon, and without his only friends, he stands up at the lowest point of Hollow Bastion to take on what's an unstoppable force. That's when Sora became Sora to me, and I truly love him. Shitty base animations and voice acting and all. Holy shit, this game's animation is bad. Goofy and Donald have such a lack of importance in this game and such a lack of character. I put them in the same category, and now I'm done talking about them. I actually like Riku, but his whole character arc was executed so poorly. He kind of just shows up out of nowhere in Traverse Town, says, "Hi Sora, I'm evil now," then disappears. And his whole motivation for it is that Sora can't get Kairi by himself. He doesn't even care. Look at how he hasn't found me after 2 days of being separated, even though I'm also just fighting him now, but no, he likes to hang out with ducks and dogs, so fuck him. When he eventually gets swallowed by Ansem,
What do you mean by that?
his characterization actually gets pretty interesting and you grow to care for him a lot more. He's a lot like Sasuke from Naruto, but his actual path to darkness is bad. Kairi. Ansem doesn't have any depth to him except wanting Kingdom Hearts to be full of darkness, as well as being the polar opposite to Sora. Even though he lacks depth in this game like a lot of the characters, his moments where he is on screen as well as his character design kind of just made me like him a lot. Kind of like how Sephiroth in Final Fantasy VII doesn't even have much screen time, but he's a fan favorite character just because of how fucking cool he is. Well, in this game, that's Ansem.
The heart may be weak, and sometimes it may even give in. But I've learned that deep down there's a light that never goes out.
If there's one thing Square Enix is completely consistent at, it's being able to deliver a great set of characters, a beautiful world you can get completely immersed in, and some of the greatest music in all of gaming, all the while serving up some really mediocre gameplay. On paper, this game's combat system is fine. It's challenging at times to juggle certain enemies, but it still remains fun. It doesn't do anything incredibly special, but it doesn't offend either. That is, until you look past the surface level of the combat. The camera in this game is awful. If you're platforming or in a fight, or heaven forbid, both, you are pretty much just going to be hitting random shit like a little baby who doesn't have like hands or... This is actually pretty understandable since it is from the earlier years of 3D cameras during fighting games, and it's mostly just funny to get frustrated at sometimes. It's not really a major inconvenience, just kind of annoying. Maybe it's not too bad because Sora's really nimble a lot of the time. His jumps are floaty. I mean, you might as well be flying for half of this game. You can stay in the air for so long doing different combos with his Keyblade. It's by far my favorite part of his kit. It's so fun and addicting. I actually load up Smash Brothers and just play Sora so that I can recreate the feeling online. Side note, I am now very appreciative of Sora being in Smash. And along with the camera, there's this shitty lock-on system. Look at this. It works in 2 stages. There's semi-lock-on, and then there's the full lock-on. I came up with the names. There's no swinging without lock-on because it's always locked onto somebody. And if you want to swing towards another enemy, nope. Sorry, buddy, but that's the enemy you're fighting today. If you're semi-locked on, you have to kind of just wiggle your camera around and pray that it hits the right enemy so it locks onto them instead. And oh my god, if you're fully locked on, then you have to unlock, which takes a second in and of itself. And then you need to do the whole semi-lock-on thing again, where you just wiggle your camera and hope to god it hits someone. It feels like your camera and Sora himself are never doing what you want them to do. Especially when there's a lot of enemies in one place, it becomes basically impossible to hit who you want to hit. And this is really bad for situations where an enemy is significantly tougher than everyone else. Because while you're trying to hit this big enemy, there's a small enemy that's blocking your way, and then the big enemy kills you. It just feels really unintuitive. I feel like games like Zelda Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask perfected this system years prior, and they got it on the first try. To be fair, there is a lot less movement in those games in comparison to this, but even then, it feels like the lock-on system, it adds freedom, while in this game, it kind of takes it away from you, because it's making you play how the game is telling you to play, instead of just being there for ease of access. Outside of Sora by himself, and I don't know if this is an ice cold take or not, but the biggest pain in the ass with this game is by far its AI. The lock-on system is shit. Your teammates don't do anything. It's both
really hard and way too easy at the same time. The enemies send 30 projectiles at once. Kingdom Hearts 1. Kingdom Hearts 1. It's both really fun and really miserable at the same time. Kingdom Hearts 1. Kingdom Hearts 1. It is so bad, yet it's so good. Oh, I love it. I'm talking boss fights where you just sit there and wait for your chance to hit with nothing else to do. Seriously, how in the butternut squash shittlefuck did this stuff get past the cutting room for? Or even more than that, playtesting. I'm shocked that this game was actually created and then played by game developers with decades of experience. And they sat there and said, not only is that fair, it's fun. Similar to the issue with the boss fights where you kind of just sit there and wait for things to happen, a lot of this game is kind of just lazy filler where you walk around the same area in circles. I mean, there was a point where I quit this game for a few months because I got stuck in the Tarzan world. And I don't mean stuck like I didn't know what to do. I just got fed up with walking through the jungle over and over again. They make you go up to the treehouse, then back down, then back up to the treehouse, and back down, then back to the treehouse. And to get there, there's this stupid vine section where you just have to pray that everything goes well. I'm not even saying that all of this is that bad in and of itself. It's just the fact that you have to travel back and forth. It's pure filler, and it's just like they had nothing to do in this world, so they just made you do a fetch quest back and forth. And there's a lot of stuff in this game that's like that. Not just within exploration, but within fights. There's a lot of stuff that basically just boils down to waiting because that's what the game tells you to do. It reminds me of that really fun prison section in Final Fantasy VIII.
We gotta go all the way around.
Whoops, I went down on accident. It feels like this game could be 10 hours instead of 20, and all of these issues I've talked about so far, they culminate in one horrible place. I'm fucking evil. But we'll get to that later. For now, I want to talk about some of the game's best worlds. Obviously I have nothing to compare this to, but from a beginner's perspective, there's actually not many worlds in this game to explore. And in no way do I mean that's a bad thing. You're consistently going from world to world, and while the gameplay during them might not consistently be the best thing ever, they're always really cool to explore. The atmosphere and universe of this game is really what makes Kingdom Hearts to me. You've got Traverse Town, which as far as I know is an original location. It's pretty small and there's not a whole lot to do in it, but it has a really relaxing vibe, and you return to it pretty frequently throughout the game. It gives it this really relaxing and a homey feel, especially with that music behind it. Throughout all the stress and enemies in all the worlds you've explored, it always feels like Traverse Town is a nice home to come back to, especially with all the shops and important characters that rest there. Not to mention it's the first place you go to. Then there's Colosseum, which I actually had a bit of a running joke with myself about this while I was playing through the game. There's no strict order to this game, so I actually went from Wonderland to Deep Jungle first and completely skipped Colosseum, and I just never came back to it. So I always kidded with myself that it would be the last stage I'd beat, and that I'd actually beat it after I finished the full game, which now I know doesn't exist. There's no post-game. I only ended up finishing Colosseum after the very last save point in the game, before the final boss, which I am very glad I did, because Cloud and Sephiroth are there. My two favorite Final Fantasy characters were just there, and I was neglecting them. What the fuck? The actual gameplay of that level is pretty fun too. Instead of doing the normal exploring you do in other worlds, you participate in long boss rush type matches where you have to beat a bunch of enemies, and then you click on the Sephiroth one and start squealing in your chair like a monkey. Another world I really liked was Halloween Town. I was so surprised to see that Jack Skellington somehow made it into the game, because for some reason I thought that movie wasn't really that popular and that it wasn't even released yet, but apparently it predates Kingdom Hearts by like 8 years. In this world and all other Disney related worlds, they have these original scores which are remixed versions of the themes from the original film, which just makes every track automatically so good and replayable. The soundtrack in this is so short and simple in comparison to those billion track long Final Fantasy games, but it kind of ranks among them with how good they are. Every world also has its own battle music. It's not just the same song over and over again every time you fight. They usually just take the main theme of the world and then
ramp it up, and some of them are so good. That kind of behavior with the music where they're always switching things up is what I really like about this game. They never really stay in one place for too long. Nothing really overstays its welcome. And the whole time I'm playing through Halloween Town, by the way, I'm just going, this is Halloween, this is Halloween, 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 Kingdom Hearts, Halloween, PS2, Halloween. Neverland is actually a really good map, which is surprising because it didn't really do anything special, and I don't like Peter Pan really. Same thing with Monstro, which I don't even think is a Disney-related map. It's just a fun and well-paced dungeon-style world with really cool set design. All these maps just do the act of being a mini 30 to 60-minute adventure really well. All of them have their own mechanics and visuals and music. They're all so unique from each other, you really can't mix two together. For example, you learn high jump in Monstro and it kind of blends into its level design a lot. And in Neverland, you learn to fly, which then goes into your inventory permanently as a floating mechanic, but not full flying. Each world brings in these mechanics and just does them perfectly. Unlike some other maps like Wonderland or Deep Jungle, where there's no interesting mechanics and they kind of drag on for way too long. This game really picks up its pace in the second half when it's like not even close. Even Traverse Town, which I was saying a minute ago how much I like, when you actually go there for the first time, it's kind of annoying. It's really hard to know where you're supposed to go, and you don't have any interesting fighting styles yet. You just have the basic swing, so it's kind of just button mashing and walking around for like 2 hours. I really find that the best worlds in this game are the ones that never waste your time and just let you explore them and take everything in. This game is truly at its peak when it just lets you play. Under the Sea. Hollow Bastion is so freaking cool. You get there by yourself, without your Keyblade, as your friends leave you. Just you, a wooden sword, and as the cutscene ends, you get laid down with a gentle kiss, and you get serenaded by those strings, those flutes, that piano, that... Just you alone at what feels like the most dangerous and yet lonely place in the world, where you must fight off the Heartless with nothing but a stick and a hope to get back to your friends. As you ascend the tower, you go to a library and do a book puzzle for 15 minutes. You do an elevator puzzle for 15 minutes. And you do another elevator puzzle for 15 minutes. And it's awesome. The atmosphere on this level is absolutely unmatched and is by far my favorite level in the whole game. It's just constant back-to-back awesome puzzles, great music, incredible fights, and the best story sections of the game. It's just back-to-back magic. When I arrived, I was excited because it was the map from Smash Bros. But when I left, I was excited because it was Hollow Bastion from Kingdom Hearts. Okay, now we're back here. End of the World has a really awesome atmosphere that connects nicely to the plot. And great music to boot. Okay, I said something nice, now let's trash it. The End of the World is the final area of this game, and possibly the worst part of any game I have ever completed. I don't mean that to sound dramatic or anything. I just genuinely don't think I've ever had as bad of a time playing a game as this. Except for Valorant. When you enter End of the World, you get this huge wide space that truly looks like the end of the world, with what looks like comets and big chunks of just space floating and falling around you. There's big caverns of space rock and pillars containing portals to each world you've been to, or haven't been to. Once you get past these pillars, you enter it. Now let me preface this by saying, on IGN's official guide, it states that you should be at least level 50 before continuing on, but however I was a mere 36. You can run past enemies into the room behind them in this game, but it's not like I was avoiding so many that I would completely be underleveled, right? They put you in this hellfuck where you have to fight enemies you had fought throughout Hollow Bastion. In Hollow Bastion, these guys would spawn in 1 or 2 at a time, and their main purpose was the fact that they were annoying and hard to kill. They existed for the purpose of distracting you from other enemies, and maybe they'd hit you off a ledge. Don't even get me started on that shit. Here, they spawn in like 20 of them, with every single one taking multiple combos to kill, and they all shoot lasers at you at the same time. And what do lasers mean? You can't heal, you can't hit, you can't jump, you can't move, you can't do anything, and
you die. And obviously Donald and Goofy are completely useless here because they're just incapable of ever actually being helpful in this game. The most they do is distract the enemies for a second and then they just die again. Mix the bad lock-on system, the tanky controls, the fact this game requires you to grind in order to be high enough level to do this, which... why? The lack of teamwork, the plain bad and annoying game design, and to top it all off, the fact that if you die to any of these phases, these guys send you all the way back to the beginning of it. Who designed this and thought it was fun? Even if you take away a lot of the flaws of the game, like the lock-on system, the camera, and the controls, it still wouldn't be good. This isn't something where you can like dodge their lasers really. It's kind of just you get hit or you don't and you gotta tank your way through them. So who the hell would want to sit in this room for 30 minutes fighting enemies who lock onto you and turn invisible when you try to hit them? They are literally designed to be the toughest, most annoying enemy in the game in their respective world. They're a gimmick enemy, so why would you treat them like they're just a normal horde enemy? After over an hour of dealing with this bullshit, I finally got a lucky attempt after spamming enough Karagas and just barely made it through this piss river. I'm not gonna lie, this was easily the worst part of the game, and I don't think that's even arguable except for one other part I'll get to later. After you're done with it, you get to the final checkpoint, which is nice so you can easily teleport anywhere for side quest or grinding. This is the last point in the game, so yeah, wish Final Fantasy VII gave me that. Anyways, here comes Ansem.
Riku!
Not only am I fucking evil, I'm gay. Ansem is I'm not joking, 9-stage boss fight, and it's a boss fight I'm both very fond of and a boss fight that I have many problems with. It starts off with two honestly really forgettable phases where you kind of just hit at him and he can't do shit to you. But after that comes what is easily the best fight in this game. Ansem sets up an arena that can only be unlocked by Sora's Keyblade, and the two of them duel alone. This fight is so awesome, not just from a story standpoint, but also a gameplay standpoint. Unlike most of the game where you just mindlessly hit at enemies when you have the chance to, this fight requires you to actually study and learn his moves in order to get the hit in on him. Dark Souls. This fight is genuinely pretty challenging at first when you don't know what you're doing, but as you fight him, you realize the game is spreading little seeds for you to chip at like a little baby bird. Oh, I can dodge this overpowered attack of his if I dodge this big demon guy? So it's not really overpowered at all. It's just about learning his cycles. Oh, on his last roll, he kind of takes a second before he does it, so he can trick you and hit you. Alright, I see the vision. He doesn't even do that much here, but the mere fact that he's challenging and all of his attacks can be negated by simply playing better is incredible. I can't even believe this was made by the same developers. This game is 99%. You're either getting destroyed by bullshit that you can't really avoid and you gotta just take it, or you just stomp everybody because they're way too weak to hurt you. You can really tell the dev team put time into it. There's nothing here that feels like it's unfair towards the player. Nothing that feels like it was rushed. Just a really solid, fun fight. If every fight in this game was like this, I'd have little to no complaints with everything I've said so far. But yeah, then it like gets bad. This is the part I said might be as bad as the stupid room that hates you and wants you to die. This fight obviously feels stupid, clanky, and unfinished. It's just a boring back and forth where he swings his swords, then you fly towards him and combo him, then you run back and repeat it again. But then when you get his health bar low enough, he starts firing off 3 of these lasers at a time that you have to dodge. And these things fire for like a minute straight with very little room for you to actually go and hit him. Every round of this spawns 3 lasers, and they're fast enough to where there's actually like 6 on your screen at a time really. And by the time they're done after like a minute straight, you're either too far away from Ansem to get to him and hit him, or he's in the middle of his sword attack so you can't hit him anyways. And there's so little room with these lasers that they just start firing again right away. The worst part of these lasers, except for the fact that 6 of them are firing at you at a time, is that their depth perception is so weird. They look like they're 2D, but they're actually 3D, and can sometimes randomly run into you or you will run into them, and it feels so uncontrollable and random. Just like, okay, if I go any direction that's not directly right or left, I will get hit. And these things do a solid 1/3 of your health bar. It's not like they're just stunning you for low damage. They will kill you. The weird way they come up on your screen, the way they fire, and how little room you have to hit Ansem, it just makes this section of the fight into a really long and annoying, tedious experience. You basically just fly in circles, and then once the lasers stop, you get in and try to hit him, and then you have to do that like 10 times. I know I said I'm under leveled, but I
just played the game normally. It's not like I was specifically avoiding enemies a lot of the time. I did a good amount of fighting. I don't think video games should require grinding as part of their play cycle. Northern Cave in Final Fantasy VII. A game should be able to calculate how much the average player will play and then design the final area around that. Grinding should be an option, not a requirement. Once you're done with this, you kind of just cycle between a bunch of mediocre sections. The main points of interest are the super evil Satan rooms, which are basically the same as the room from earlier that I got stuck on, except this time they're in the dark. But luckily, pretty much all difficulty and annoyance is taken from these, because if you die in them, you just get sent back to the start of it, not 30 minutes back. You do that twice, once for Donald and once for Goofy, with some different phases mixed in between that aren't really important talking about. You kind of just hit at these horn things. It's kind of annoying, but it's not hard. You just gotta break like one or two of them and you're done. Once you're done with all of that, you get to the finale of the fight, which is, again, pretty whatever. It's just a rehash of the same stuff we've already been doing up to this point, and once it's over, you just watch some cutscenes and the game's over. In a way, this single boss fight encapsulates how I feel about the whole game. Oh. Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, so, apparently there's a spell that makes you take less damage, but I didn't know about that. Okay, cool. Overall, I have a lot of complaints with this game, but the characters, the music, the story, the world, and most of all, the magic that this game makes you feel are capable of completely overshadowing my complaints at times. It's not the most complicated game, the combat isn't the most cutting edge, the story isn't very complicated or well told, the characters aren't the most in-depth, but the love and emotion that this game makes you feel is much more important than those things. Sometimes. I give Kingdom Hearts 1 7 Keyblades out of 10. Fuck. 7 Keyblades out of 10.